Joe Biden is basically preemptively declaring victory. He's not saying that he definitely won, but he's saying, yeah, we're going to win. So here was Joe Biden yesterday walking out to the cheers, presumably, of the members of the media, declaring that they were on track to win the presidential election.
Now, after a long night of counting, it's clear that we're winning enough states to reach 270 electoral votes needed to win the presidency. I'm not here to declare that we've won, but I am here to report when the count is finished, we believe we will be the winners.
Okay, so that is not helpful in any way, shape, or form. It's also not helpful because the fact of the matter is there are still votes to be counted in Arizona. So this morning, the Arizona Republic reported that Trump is actually getting the share of votes he would need to reclaim Arizona. And according to the Arizona Republic, azcentral.com, as Maricopa County released the results from 140,000 more ballots on Wednesday night and Thursday morning, President Donald Trump received almost the exact share he would need to charge back to win Arizona's 11 electoral votes and potentially re-election. Trump won the batches of ballots from Maricopa County counted Wednesday and early Thursday by a roughly 57-40 margin over former Vice President Joe Biden. Those votes, likely early ballots sent to the county on Monday and Tuesday, narrowed Biden's lead over Trump in Arizona to 68,000 votes. His lead had been more than 90,000 votes earlier on Wednesday. Paul Bentz, a Republican pollster with the consulting firm High Ground, said Trump needs to win 57.6% of the 470,000 votes the Arizona Republic estimates remain to be counted. He said that's almost exactly what he got in the first batch. He could do it. The problem for Trump is he needs to replicate that performance across all of the remaining 470,000 votes left to count in the state. He needs to do it across all of Arizona's 15 diverse counties. That includes Pima, Coconino, and Santa Cruz counties. Trump needs to repeat that performance with every single batch, every single ballot, every single day, said Bent. The first step in a long journey was a successful one in Trump's tightrope walk. President Trump also needs to maintain that vote margin through different batches of ballots that include those that arrived in the mail before Election Day, early ballots dropped off at the polls on Election Day, and provisional ballots voters cast because they didn't have the right form of identification or they went to the wrong polling place. But this means that there is a pathway that is still open in Arizona, and this is giving everybody over at Fox News heartburn. And it should give everybody over at Fox News heartburn, because you'll recall that very, very early on Tuesday night, Fox News called Arizona in favor of Joe Biden. And it really shifted the momentum of what everybody was feeling, because it came shortly after Florida had been called for Trump, and it looked like Trump was running away with Florida. Now, does that impact the vote? Not really. Okay, there's some speculation that perhaps the call in Arizona came so early that there were a few people who were left in line. That theoretically could be a problem. But I believe the call didn't come like 5 minutes in. It came probably an hour and a half after Arizona actually closed the polls, an hour after Arizona closed the polls. So my guess is you're not talking about thousands and thousands of people who are left in line, just to be perfectly accurate about all of this. With that said, Fox News calling it early was seen by a lot of people, including a lot of conservatives, as a sign that Fox News wants to get away from Trump just generally. And it caused an awful lot of consternation on Fox News. A Trump campaign official yesterday reamed Fox News for the early Arizona call.
As this narrows, there is going to be great pressure on you guys, to be honest with you, Fox News, to rescind your call. It was a premature call. You know, we were livid about the fact that you and then the AP made that call. There are 7 organizations that call states on election night from time to time. 7. 5 of those 7 did not make that call. And
okay,
you guys
Sam, we got it.
You don't want to be in a position. This is going to lead Joe Biden to falsely declare himself the president-elect at some point.
Understood.
Okay, so there's a lot of pressure on Fox News, And you could see it actually on the ground. MSNBC was reporting on a crowd yesterday outside some of the Maricopa County offices where the votes were being counted, shouting Fox News sucks, right? Which is not something that you normally hear from crowds of Republican voters. Here's a little bit of that footage.
A loud and very boisterous crowd. You'll start hearing them start up here. And they're actually chanting, Fox News sucks. Fox News sucks. The reason why they're chanting that is because Fox News called Arizona for Biden yesterday, and a lot of people are angry about that.
MSNBC guys like, this is amazing. They're not shouting at me. That's amazing. Probably the best clip from last night was actually Rachel Maddow when it finally dawned on her that Trump could actually win Arizona. Because remember, the map is such that if Trump wins Arizona and he wins Pennsylvania, remember the votes are still being counted in Pennsylvania, guess who wins the election? And so this dawns on Rachel Maddow in real time as Steve Kornacki, who actually is quite good at his job, is going through the stats. And you can see Rachel Maddow almost begin to collapse in on herself.
If things go this way, we are looking at something that looks very close to a tie.
Yeah, and I'd say it at this point, because it's 75,000 out of 400,000 and change that are going to come in. So we're not sure it's exactly going to be 59% when all is said and done.
Sure.
If it ends up at 55, I think he'll be short. If it ends up at 65, I think there's a chance he would overtake Biden there. So we haven't really established the rate. What we've established right now is the possibility.
Okay, and Rachel Maddow then starts to almost fall apart. And it's pretty fantastic. Okay, meanwhile, Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, he reamed Fox News as well. He said you guys need to retract the call. I mean, Fox News was under heavy pressure for the last 48 hours to retract a call that obviously was premature. So here's Ron DeSantis going after Fox News.
Trump is gaining in Arizona. There's probably 500,000. So here's my thing, Sean. If you're going to be quick on the trigger, then be quick on the trigger for both sides and stand by it. But it seems like with Trump, they never want to call the state. And then Biden, man, they'll do it right away. It's inconsistent. It's unacceptable. And look, North Carolina should be called for the president for sure. Arizona, that Fox should rescind that call.
Well, meanwhile, Nate Silver is saying the same thing. So this is not just Republican partisans like members of the Trump campaign or Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida. And he's making a good point there, too, which is it took them damned ever to call Florida on election night. I mean, it took like 4 hours for them to call Florida, even though we all knew within the first hour because all of the ballots were already in and were counted very, very quickly. Florida has a very smooth, because of 2000, tabulation system. They really come out with excellent voter data very quickly. It took them forever to call that state, but Arizona, they were really quick on the trigger, and he's right about that. Nate Silver said, I don't know. I guess I'd say that Biden will win Arizona if you force me to pick, but I sure as heck don't think the state should have been called by anyone. I think the calls that were previously made should be retracted now. That's Nate Silver. So there's a lot of heartburn out there for people who think that this election is already over. It is worth noting here, by the way, that Georgia may end up in the Democratic lane. That's how close all of these states are. So there's still votes coming in Fulton County, which includes Atlanta. It is quite possible that those votes split in favor of Joe Biden, which means that Joe Biden would end up winning Georgia. So you could see a situation in which Trump loses the election because he loses Georgia, but he wins Arizona and Pennsylvania. So there's still a lot of outstanding questions as to where this race is right now. Plus, there are now lawsuits that are on the books. So anybody who's declaring that the race is over, anybody who's declaring that this election is done, not yet it ain't.